Are you super duper ready?
I'm super ready. Here we go.
So are we going to spend 30 minutes talking about levels, or do you want to do 45 minutes?
Let's talk
Just
about
doing mic
our
checks and audio checks.
yeah. Let's do our mic checks for like 10, and then we can figure out how the system is that you're using works for like another 15,
That sounds great.
and then I'm gonna just like leave and have a beer, and I'll come back.
Smoke. Have a smoke.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
My wife will kill you if you smoke again.
yeah.
Hey everyone.
Hi.
Look, we're upping our production value here on the fifth and final episode. We've got yeah, yeah, got a little thing in the middle. Yeah. Oh, look at that. I can add people's text, and I can't stand it. I have to format this stuff real quick.
Hey, Craig Winslow just asked me when I'm free for him to bring me a
Tell him to
one of
Pablo.
those.
He could be our first guest.
Oh my God, that'd be amazing.
Okay, this is fun. Um, yeah. Well, no sense in beating around the bush here on episode 5. So, but we do have just a couple little warm up things to talk about. So,
Yeah.
first of all, the Discord chat, XR Talk, you just go to chat.xrtalk.net. And last week we did have all kinds of URL issues. Those should be fixed now. So you should be able to just go to chat.xrtalk.net and find our Discord. And it's been awesome.
This is all due to Paul. I had nothing to do with
Spencer had nothing to do with it. In fact, he tried to get me
Zero.
to do stuff that was not that, and I ignored him. So it's been great. We've had some good conversations and some really awesome people that come in. Jessica Outlaw joined today, so now we're big time.
Yeah, no kidding.
And we added some channels, not a ton. It was really funny because somebody joined the Discord chat, and then they said, "Wow, there's not a trillion channels in here like a lot of chats have." And I'm like, "Yeah, I kind of like having a bunch." And then I added 5.
Morning, I came in this morning. I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh."
Well, that's because I, as much as I hate fragmented conversations, it's completely outweighed by my desire for taxonomy and organization. And so we had a bunch of links and stuff coming through, and so now we've got them somewhat organized. But one of the things I did, because Spencer's been telling me to listen to this Jerry Ellsworth podcast interview. It's called the AMP.
Did you listen to it?
Yeah, I listened to it.
Nice.
And it's called the AMP Hour. It's a couple years old. So this is Jerry kind of early Tilt 5. She's actually not even talking about Tilt 5 in it, but she's kind of talking about the demise of Cast AR. Couple hours long, but just really great. She's such a great interviewer and interviewee, I guess would be. And maybe we could try to get her on the show because we need to start having guests soon. But yeah, I thought it was really interesting. It reminded me a lot of some of our Magic Leap experience. And you know, but I mean, it's in some ways it's typical startup stuff, and the stuff you have to deal with when you raise funding, and also dealing with hardware. But yeah, it was really good. It was some good inside baseball. It was less XR stuff and more startup porn type talk, but really good.
Right.
Speaking of, I will share that link. It's already in our Discord, but the next thing on my list is to clean up our YouTube presence and actually have show notes and links. I know I said that last week, but this time I mean it. And then the other thing I shared in the chat this week was AR in actions. Let me try to do a little screen transition here. I'm going to go to my browser. Why does it say iPad? So AR in action is this group, this trade group, industry group, and they had a leadership summit, and they just posted all these videos, and I've only watched a couple, to be honest, but they've all been pretty good, and they're nice and short.
Yeah.
And you know, and they're pretty practical, which is, you know, so much better than some of some of the futurist technologist stuff that you see sometimes. So I recommend it. The one I listened to was the guy that works for Gramercy Tech, which is an agency that did this WebVR thing for Monopoly that I talk about all the time, and it's really good. So that's another nice little thing I wanted to share.
I got to let you know, you're displaying only your we're gonna do a little bit of this anyway. You're only displaying the web page. You're not displaying us as well.
Oh, that's why it. Oh, you know why? Boop.
Why?
There we go. Papa hit the wrong button.
Oh.
That's
there we
okay.
go.
Thanks for letting me know.
Sure, man. So what's that all about on your screen there?
Well, we're going to talk about that in a minute.
Okay, but let's talk about that part first. Yeah, I like that one.
Yeah, I think it's time. So we kind of teased it on the Twitter account yesterday. The very fine folks at Scandy sent us these little widgets. Let's see. Let's do too many buttons. Wait, let me get us up on the screen here. I'm clearly still learning how to drive this thing. Yeah, pretty cool. So it's really nicely built. It's got springs in it. Mine is branded.
Yeah, mine's branded too, buddy. Just not cool like yours.
Mine's got a
it's
cool
even cooler
brand on
it's
it.
Scandy.
Yeah. So what the heck is this thing? So we're gonna show you, and I'm gonna try to demo it. It'll be our first live demo, I think. Yeah, it will.
Yeah.
So it's called the Lookout, and you can find it on their website. So what it is it clips onto the top of your phone, and I actually didn't look to see. Do Android? Are there? I can't
see if you can see me or not, but
oh yeah,
I've got it on an iPhone 4. But you get the idea.
Yeah, and it clamps onto my phone with the case really well.
Yeah.
So what's cool about this is, so we've talked about Displayland a lot, which is walking around on the back-facing camera or the world camera of your phone, and it's using the SLAM tracking or the AR tracking of your phone and recording frames, and then building up a mesh from those frames. In the case of Displayland, it's actually processing those in the cloud and then giving you a mesh back. And then last week we talked about Occipital's Canvas, which is similar, except you're standing in one spot, and it's kind of optimized for this 360 type of scan thing. Right. And there's a couple other apps and programs that do it. And most of the time when you want to scan something with your phone, you want to use the back-facing camera because you want to see the screen to see what you're doing. And also a lot of those devices that rely on the AR tracking, even though they're not necessarily technically AR content apps, they need a lot of movement. The phone has to move around, or it doesn't. The phone's constantly looking at accelerometers and the camera feed to figure out where it's at. And so you got to move around quite a bit. So what's cool about this is Scandy has always used the depth sensor on the front of the iPhone. So the depth sensor being an IR based, it actually projects out light that you can't see, and it has a lot of advantages over pure camera style tracking, one of which is it works in the dark, and it's also very accurate. So that's why they use it for your Face ID stuff, and what else? And like the Animoji, where it's doing the face tracking, uses the IR stuff. What are you doing? You're doing a little over the shoulder. Let me switch over to. So this is Spencer, this is
Scandy, and and this is the depth information with color on top of it. And the difference between using this and using something that does structure from motion, which is the Displayland or any of the other photogrammetry type systems, this is actually a time of flight scanner. So using the infrared cameras, if you just click this, I didn't move at all, and
right.
It made a 3D model of my face.
Yeah.
And you can see in this, who was it that just uploaded faces for us? I'm much fatter
Eric.
than that other face. Yeah. See, Eric? See that? See?
So I'm gonna try to do a live demo with the Lookout. So let's see.
Oh, cool.
Let me go big here. So I've got it clamped on. I have a case, and you can see I'm backwards.
So can I just go in a little bit deeper on that?
Yeah.
So I was just looking through the front-facing camera at my face, which is an IR camera. You can't, you could try to scan something without actually looking at it by turning it around and trying to scan the thing, but you can't tell what you're doing.
Yeah.
So what they've done is they've flipped the IR camera around. Where am I? I'm over here. Yeah. They've flipped the IR camera around by putting a mirror here. So really any camera with a front-facing, or any phone with a front-facing IR camera just gets basically 45-degree or 90-degree angled out into the world. So you scan it like this. And yep. So now Paul will show you how this is going to work.
I'm going to try. So I've got the Scandy app loaded. I'm on an iPhone 10s Max. 10s Pro Max, whatever. So you can use Scandy for free. Their business model is they charge to let you do it. So you can see you can't see how I'm holding the phone, but it's nice because I can see the screen, but I'm pointing at an object that's away from me. And so when I hit start, what's cool about Scandy is they actually tell you when you get off track. So like the whole time I'm moving around, it's going to be scanning. But if I see how it turned red, like when it turns red and flashes, that means it's lost its kind of tracking. And if you get it back in about the same spot, it'll actually fix itself, which is really nice. And so, and I can just do like a whole little move around. I may lose my mic. And then if I just go ahead and stop it. So it's not going to the cloud at all. And it's
doing it all on phone, which is kind of awesome.
Yeah. So then here we go. Here's my very dirty quick scan. Yeah. So kind of neat. And it really gives you a taste of what's going to be possible when the depth sensor's on the back side of the phone, which is something I always say I want. But in the meantime, this is a great way. I think if you practice with it some more, you could probably get some really good quality out of it. I don't know if you'll get as good as what a Spencer might get out of photogrammetry.
Well, or a higher end scanner or booth or something like that. Yeah, but for what it is, it's pretty darn cool. Like you can do IR scanning on your phone without sending anything to the cloud. That's valuable.
And the other cool thing about it is it doesn't require any funky calibration stuff. I talked to a company last year that was doing a mirror in front of the depth sensor, and you couldn't have a case on your phone, and it like purposely slotted into the phone in such a way so that it was calibrated and
only for that phone.
Yeah, and this just kind of works. It's awesome.
Even this, which is the structure scanner on an iPad, it's backwards. This thing requires a whole kind of calibration setup before you can start scanning, with any kind of accuracy.
Yeah. The Lookout from Scandy. Scandy also they have another app or service called Hoxel, which we're gonna talk about more later, maybe in another. Well, this is our last episode, but if we were to have another episode, we'll be talking about it some more. But speaking of all this, I actually wanted to put Spencer on the spot and talk about this purple bumpy face. So, well, you tell the story.
Friend of mine,
I am
Michael,
putting you on the spot.
was he took a shot of his girlfriend Brooke, and he took about, I think the first one he was like 12 images or something like that, and then he started bumping up the images, and he just couldn't get a good clean scan using what was he using? He was using Metashape, Edgesoft Metashape.
And where'd the photos come from?
The photos were, I believe, sorry, there's my palm again. Sorry, I'm just trying to get rid of the thing. Paul's got a thing about my palm. He doesn't like this. So just if I do this, I'm trying to piss Paul off.
If you do like that, please comment in the...
Yes. Who likes my palm? Anyway, so he was trying to figure out why this thing wouldn't resolve correctly, wouldn't make a good build. And so I took a look at it. I had him send me the photos and the Edgesoft file, and found out that he was taking some really good high resolution photographs, and he was taking from enough angles. He had the 60% overlap was correct. He had good high resolution photos, but he didn't have a good depth of field. So he had a lot of, you can see there's actually a piece that I went in. I don't know if I can't see what you're looking at. Can you scroll to the picture where I think it's the next tab, right?
This
so
is
these
you.
are all okay. This is me. That's me working on it. Okay, that's just the point cloud from the first setup, and then go down to So here. I took the
video
portion,
or the photo.
The photo. I took a portion of one of the images, and then I made it grayscale, and I put it in Photoshop, brought it in, and then put an emboss filter on it, just so I could see where there was detail and where there wasn't, and you can really see where the detail drops off. Is right there between like her lip line and and her chin line. So there's this place where you can just see it drop off. And then if you look at the mesh, and you look at the confidence mesh mapping, which is that one.
This is
right. So you can see the confidence there is green and the red is not confident, and you can see exactly where that starts to fall off on the right side of her face. And of course, putting a texture on it makes it better. But if you're looking for a mesh to print from, like if you want to make a 3D print, it's, this worked out pretty well. I think there were some other things that Michael was doing that a lot of people who first get into Metashape do, which is crank everything all the way up to the top and and that actually makes it worse sometimes. So there it is a bit of an art. Anyway, so there you go. Yeah,
that's cool. I mean, you can totally see that when you put on the emboss, like it you can totally, it does kind of pronounce what's
got detail and what doesn't.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so if you're going to be doing photogrammetry, try to have a really deep depth of field. Go with a very low ISO and a high f-stop. And lots of light, and then you'll have a nice, good, deep, lots of everything in focus. It's good.
There's a whole thing about your palm happening on.
Oh, is there?
On the chat.
God.
Yeah.
Mrs. Palm is my inspiration for getting up in the morning. Oh, Cammy. And Sean +1 Spencer's palm. All right.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't. I've been busy this week working on the XR Talk website.
Oh my God, it's amazing.
I mean, it is and it isn't.
Well, no, but it's amazing. The reason it's amazing, and I don't know if anybody else knows this, but I'm not going to steal your thunder here, but it's a 3D website. You can look at that thing in any 3D platform, and it's a 3D website. Paul, take it away.
But that's not what it is. That's what I want it to be.
Well, it's starting to be. The bones are there.
Yeah. So, we had this 3D model of our logo, and it's pretty simple. and I knew that we could deploy it to all these platforms, but I wanted to do it in such a way that was consistent, and I wanted to do it over the web, right? And man, it's all that stuff's such a mess. So for I actually thought about starting a technical talk channel in the Discord to talk about the nitty gritty, but it's using a couple different things. One is TypeScript. Everything's written in TypeScript, and it's using BabylonJS, which is a Web 3D engine by Microsoft. And I just like it better than 3JS. It's not quite as popular, but they're doing a lot of cool stuff with it, and it just feels a little bit more like people that came from the game engine world worked on it a little bit more. And the idea is, but Babylon kind of gives you a game engine, and it has WebXR built in. But right now, WebXR kind of means WebVR. And
Right.
and so I use that for the desktop view, and I use it for when you go into VR mode. And I just pushed a new update today, because I was tinkering around with when you go into VR mode, I do want it to turn into like a 3D version of the website. I want like the YouTube link, and I actually don't even know how that stuff's going to work. But now if you jump into the VR version of the website, I have a little welcome panel that you can only see if you open it in VR, which is cool, which means I figured out how to turn 3D stuff on and off based on if you're in VR mode or not. And then for the AR stuff, there's only a few ways you can go, but the most reliable way for both iOS and Android is to use this quick look, which is just giving the OS a model. And for GLTF for Android and USDZ for iOS. And by the way, I built that 3D model in Vectory.com, and I love Vectory. It's like I think $10 a month, and it's a browser-based modeler. It doesn't have animation, but it has a renderer. It has two different kinds of renders, which is how I made this little center piece that we have here-ish. And and then you can download as GLTF, USDZ, OBJ, and it's really easy to use. So I built that, downloaded it, and then Google has this project called ModelViewer, and that's at ModelViewer.
Just want to point out here, the programmer made the artwork and didn't ask me to make the artwork. He made the artwork because he doesn't trust me to make good artwork.
You were busy. By the way, I will link to all this. I know I'm rattling off a bunch of stuff.
That's right. I'm actually going to go get my my Quest while you're talking about this, and then put it on and go on the website, and you can get like a reaction video. That'll be fun.
You're so weird.
Go ahead.
So ModelViewer, ModelViewer tries to kind of it'll show a 3D preview on the web on a browser window, so a phone or tablet or desktop, and then if it's an AR capable device, it'll give you the option to show it in quick look. And so I did that. The problems came in when I wanted to seamlessly switch between all these things, and at first Android phones were trying to launch it in VR mode. And I was like, well, no, I want those to launch in Quick Look. So I said, no, all Android devices go to Quick Look. Well, it turns out I totally forgot. The Quest is Android based. So then I broke VR on Android. And that was helped with David and Eric tested the Magic Leap version. I forgot to mention there's a Magic Leap version. And thank you so much for the Discord chat for helping me test. And so I am going to keep working on it. I think my goal is for the AR side, obviously, I don't want it to be just quick look. Eventually, I want it to be interactive. And right now, it's just a model. The cool thing about it, though, is on iOS and Android, it does all the cool like shadowing and occlusion stuff. And here's Spencer in VR.
What? I'm getting out of Shawnee's Beat Saber thing. I wanted to go to our site.
Oh, so there's a bug. I'll be interested to see if you get this bug.
Okay.
There's a bug when you go into VR mode on the Quest, It only renders in one eye the first time you go in. So you have to back out and go back in. I did submit that. I have actually submitted multiple bugs this week trying to do this stuff. But it's like, if I guess the bigger point, I'd be happy to dive into all the technical stuff. It's kind of super nerdy and boring. But the bigger point is I just have this 3D model that I want to appear in 3D everywhere. And if you're on a VR device, I want you to be able to walk around it. And if you're on a phone or a headset, I want you to be able to have it in your room with you. And it's...
Dude, this is great. This works wonderfully.
Did it not do the one eye thing?
No, man. I got full.
Maybe.
It's all purple with, and then there's a hello, welcome to the WebVR version.
Yeah.
And then we'll, please stand by.
Yeah, that's awesome. It. Yeah.
All right.
So interestingly, it doesn't work. It works on the Oculus browser. Doesn't work on Firefox Reality for Quest. I don't know, man. It's just it's such a mess. WebXR is new. Plus, I'm using I'm using all this cutting edge stuff. I'm on preview versions of everything that break every other day, and so I don't know how anybody could reasonably there should be one way to build that, and then just say I want it to go to all these things. And
this is a reason why you guys built Torch.
Yeah,
you built Torch for this exact same reason. XR, VR, all of the stuff that we're doing is hard because, you and I have 25 years of experience in interactive 3D, and we find it difficult.
It's a mess.
I was talking,
It's a mess.
Yeah, I was talking to the guys at Scandy today, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you needed to get it to us in, what's the Apple format?
USDZ.
USDZ." I was like, "Oh God." I don't know if it's going to look right. And if it does look right, or if it doesn't look right, then how do I tweak it? Oh, I have to go in and text edit the freaking shaders and text edit the materials. And
well, and that's so the quick look stuff on iPhone, I could use Reality Composer to add some interactivity to it and maybe even add the buttons, but then that's only going to work on iOS 13.
Right.
And it's and actually that everything in that path, desktop, VR, and Magic Leap, all run on top of GLTF. The only reason I have USDZ is because of iOS, and just that little thing is annoying, right? That little split in the pipeline, and then if you want to add anything to it, it just keeps getting more and more fragmented. And eventually I'll push this stuff to social and we'll have, but see, that I would use Torch for, cause it's just easier to just build it up and push it to those. It's just a mess.
So A-frame is supposed to be kind of something that helps us through this, right? Isn't A-frame kind of, isn't the dream of A-frame to be this kind of, all-in-one place where you can generate your web content?
A-frames tried to kind of merge. It tried to bring 3D creation, interactive 3D creation closer to the HTML side and the markup side. Mm-hmm. So you can, for example, in the XR Talk website, the BabylonJS version, I have code where I'm building up the scene, right? I add a camera, I add a light, I add an object, and I'm hand coding in locations and all that stuff. And that's exactly what an editor is supposed to be for. Babylon has an editor, and that's why I got started on Babylon. But because I'm on all this cutting edge,
so stuff, there's no GUI at all. Like you're like, I want my light at X, Y, Z these locations.
There is for Babylon, but because of the code path I chose, the editor's not yet working with it. So
you're like feeding it an XML or something like that, or
no? I'm writing code. It's all in code. It's like It's like old school game dev, and then A-frame also has an editor, but you can lay out your scene with markup like HTML style. And then but it's so tightly bound to 3JS. And 3JS is you could build all this stuff in 3JS code like I did in Babylon and you'd be back to that. In fact, so Firefox or Mozilla just released Hello WebXR, which is kind of their big Uber demo of WebXR. They fully have the source code on GitHub. It's all Three.js. If you look at it, it's all just loading GLTFs, and it's all code-based content creation. So A-Frame.
So where's the place for Spence? Where can I put my cool art and my relatively techie self can figure out, like, you know? Is there maybe a spot for that yet?
Maybe A-Frame. Well, so I admittedly made it more difficult for myself because of the code path I chose for Babylon. Babylon has, if you use JavaScript and kind of the slightly older style of coding, they have all this stuff. They actually have if you go to sandbox.babylonjs.com or Playground, you can play. They have a GLTF viewer that in a ModelViewer. They've got an editor. They've got a coding playground. It's really cool. I admittedly made it harder on myself because I like TypeScript. But yeah, but still, it's A-Frame isn't going to solve A-Frame. I don't know. A lot of people don't know that the first version of Torch was built on top of A-Frame, and Torch was actually a VR and an AR product for a very brief time. And A-Frame has its own quirks, and then it's so tightly coupled to Three.js, which has some other issues. For one thing, like scaling and coordinate system, like I might change the scaling on the A-Frame side, and it doesn't actually properly tell the Three.js side that it's scaling, or it's just if you want to build anything fairly complex, it could be. If my goal was to just build the XR Talk website as quick and dirty as possible, I would have maybe considered A-Frame. I'm just so burned by A-Frame. I can't. But
also you like all the new shiny things like I do.
I suffer from what a lot of people probably here suffer from, which is the what if syndrome of like, well, what if I want to add a particle system, and what if I want to make it like where you can move around, and then I don't want to paint myself into a corner, so then I go for like the hardest thing. But except in the ModelViewer thing, like all the quick look AR stuff. The funny thing about that was that's the ModelViewer package put out by Google. So I basically dynamically switch based on what's loading the page. I'll either ship you off to Babylon land or ModelViewer land. And the ModelViewer, what it does is it does that routing as well, but all for AR. And basically, if you're on a Magic Leap device, we'll load up the Prismatic stuff. And if you're on an iPhone, we'll make sure it downloads the USDZ or that. But when you really look,
it handles all that for you. You're not having to write all that.
Yeah. So like if you wanted to just show a model, so I would say as a tech artist person, if you just want to show your work online, Sketchfab.
Just go to Sketchfab. That's right.
It's just Sketchfab.
No, I'm just talking about like this thing that I want to do with Scandy, where I'm going to scan this office and then do the volumetric real-time kind of simulcast next week. That's what we're hoping, is that we'll scan this office and then my face will be horrifyingly floating in the middle of this scanned thing. That's a secondary stream.
Eric will know how chubby you are for real.
Yeah. Well, he can just look right now.
Well, no, you're flattened. You're on a screen.
I am flattened.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's no wonder. Yes, that is one of the reasons why we created Torch, was like, if we help people be able to focus on the content and the interactions without getting completely bogged down in all this technical soup, that maybe we get more stuff out into the world. Right. But it's just still tough. Breaking out the sword. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
This Anduril, flame of the West, forged from the swords of Narsil.
It's also the name of Palmer Luckey's company.
No.
Yeah. What else? Oh, so So I will. What we should ask. We should ask the chat or the crowd. I mean, we can start doing like project tours, and
Yeah.
the website tour is going to be kind of yucky because it's all just code. But I can show you my workflow. So I will say this. So I'm using a thing called Webpack, which when you change your code, it automatically bundles it all up, or it bundles up all your code for you and packages up in a nice little pack. They've got a development server thing where it just runs in the background, and when you change a little bit of code and save it, it automatically rebuilds, and it tells the browser to automatically reload. So I can have a browser over off to the side, and when I was typing in light placements and model placements, I just type save and it just reloads, which is cool.
Right.
But the really funny part is it does that for any browser that's loaded off the development server. So I had at one point, I had two desktop browsers. Yeah, I should talk about some of the stuff I did because I'm using there's a tool from Chrome called WebXR tools. I think I might be messing up, but it's a WebXR emulator for desktop, so you can test the stuff without having to always go into the headset. It's not amazing, but it fakes like a XR device, which is nice.
But you know what? If you're trying to figure out where a light is, or if there's an object that's like on the table correctly, I mean, it's just invaluable. Like just seeing it. I mean, it's a little 2D slice into your 3D space, but it allows you to iterate faster. And iteration is the key, I think.
Well, so I had that browser open, and then I had a Safari open, which didn't have anything, so it was just a plain desktop view. Then I had my iPad open to show me what options would show up for iPad. Then I have a Magic Leap running Helio. So what was funny was I got into a little flow yesterday where I changed a little bit of code, and my Office, like everything refreshed at once, and I could just pop into it, and that was kind of cool.
I kind of want to see that, like Paul pushes a button and all of the screens go.
Yeah, but the only bummer was the WebVR stuff, because if I was immersed in immersive mode, the reload would pop you out of it. But anyway, so the other thing I was gonna say about projects. So Spencer and I are also been working on a Unity project together that I gripe about occasionally on Twitter, and that's going to be done soon, and it's a very simple. Please stop. It's a very simple.
Nick asked for it. Sorry.
It's a very simple project, but it's got some interesting bits in it. And I actually had to apologize to Unity this week because I figured out I was griping. Well, we were working on this.
Right. About
we were working on the scale.
Thing.
Yeah. So little did I know, Spencer imported a giant terrain into this project and then scaled it down.
Oh, yes, it was my fault.
To 0.001. And then we couldn't figure out why the shadows looked like crap and nothing worked. And then I was like, well, this is crazy. We're just trying to work in real world scale. Why is this a problem? And then we were kind of working around it. And I remember what caused me to look into it, but then we figured out that there's a really easy way to tell Unity.
So my confusion there was that a one-to-one unit cube in Unity, I was assuming was meter by meter. So a 1 meter unit cube, right? So what we're doing is something that's about 2 meters wide by about a meter thick, right? Or long by wide. And so I scaled everything down so it would fit within that real world scale, which then caused everything to be broken and for us to have like these really weird shadow settings, and none of the water shaders that we were using were working. And, me trying to like zoom in on something and then rotate around it, it's like the camera's flipping out because I'm like in,
we're working in 0.001 scale.
Right. I'm like scanning electron microscope mode,
Yeah.
And so so what was the fix? How did you,
I linked to it in the tweet, but not that people follow my tweets that closely, but I can share the link, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But we scaled everything. There's a way to scale the session. So Unity has this notion of an AR session, and this is actually probably interesting for people. So when an AR device first gets its bearings in the world. The camera fires up and you move around enough for it to see enough stuff in the camera and get enough data from the sensors to kind of triangulate where it is. In that moment, where there's a high degree of confidence, yes, I know where I am in this quote unquote world. The 000 point or origin gets set wherever the device is in that split second. And that's called the session origin. And that's where that's basically where everything comes off of. And it kind of sets the reference point. And you can actually tell Unity, I want to scale my session. And so what's interesting about that is it'll scale all the content that you want in that session by the factor that the session is scaled. So you don't have to go through your whole project and scale everything. Excuse me. You can just scale the session. So we scaled everything up to 100, which allowed or scaled everything. It's reversed. So we basically turned all the artwork back to 1-to-1 scale, which is massive. It's like the size of a basketball court. But then we turned the session scale to 1/100th, which caused it to come back down to real world scale. So that was the fix for that. And we can we should probably do like
it's so much easier to work in now.
Yeah, we should probably do a screen share. The other thing we did is we've got some little AI elements doing some navigation, very simple stuff. And like nothing, we're not building a crazy game or anything. What are you doing now?
I was just going to bring it up. And
we're gonna look at it on your postage stamp size screen over your shoulder.
No, I don't know. Maybe
anyway, so we've got these little things moving around on terrain, and it's using nav mesh. And nav mesh in a game, you'd bake it out because the terrain never moves. But because we're in AR and you're placing the terrain in the room somewhere, the navigation stuff moves too. So we had to rework the navigation. That looks. We'll just do it. We'll do a. If we ever do another episode, which we're not, we will. This is the final episode. We will walk through that project, because the other thing we did was that I want to talk about is because this is going to be shown in a public venue with volunteers, you have to place the content in a specific place, and I tried to add a little bit of intelligence to like place it roughly on the table, even when we detect the table, so there's not a lot of manual placement. And I actually just got a new drop of Mars, which is the Unity Labs stuff that's going to release later this year. And I'm going to tinker with Mars, because theoretically with Mars, so this is Timone's group and what they're building on the Unity Labs side. Mars theoretically solves that problem where you say, I have a piece of content that I would like to appear on a tabletop surface 1 meter by a half meter. And it knows that a tabletop surface is approximately this tall off the ground. So, and it kind of, and it says, oh, this is a table that'll fit. And theoretically, it would just place the content there properly oriented, which is definitely something people will need eventually.
It's kind of like a 3D image marker. You're defining the surface kind of X, Y, and a little bit of Z of the object that you want to attach to, and then it finds it and slaps it down.
It's less like that. It's more like a querying system. So Mars builds up a database of the surfaces in the room, and then they've developed this querying system that says, like, I want the content to hover X number of units over a surface that matches this descriptor, and then if it happens to find that surface in the room, it'll automatically do it. That's why I want to try it, because on one hand, it's something we've always talked about, right? We've always talked about it ever since the Magic Leap days of, well, if you're building content, like, if you're building a story that plays out in a room and you'd love a character to walk through a door and you'd love it to come sit on the couch, but then how do you get that to work for every house and every room in a scalable way? You don't know where the room is. Maybe it doesn't have a door, or maybe it doesn't have a couch.
Paul, what was the name of that demo that came out with the HoloLens 1?
Fragments.
Where Fragment. Oh my God! The character found a chair and sat
Fragments.
down on it.
Fragments is the only AR experience I've seen do that well. Like
Oh my
actually,
God! It was amazing.
but it was. I think they did a blog post on it. We should dig that up. But
Yeah.
it was very manually hand cut. Like basically, they made it so it could recognize chairs, and it was very specific. Like we built a chair and a couch recognizer, and if it happened to be one in the room, we would go sit on it. But it was
right.
But yeah, maybe that's the problem with us. We're always trying to think of stuff that scales when like that experience did what it needed to do.
I want them to be able to lean on, any size thing. And, I want to be able to, it's like.
Oh, listen,
we want too much.
I've been neglecting the chat here. So we're going to ignore Nick Lambert's Palm comments.
Totally ignoring Nick. Snowy tundra, desert sand. Thanks, Nick.
So Eric asked on the AR session, did you have to add a script to the main camera? No, but the AR camera does need to be a child of the AR session, and so that is a requirement of that. And like I said, that project's not very secret. It's just not done, so we can show it later. And then Julian asked about changing the scale factor on the model import, and our problem was that the models came in massive, and then we scaled them down. But everything in Unity, then when you went to go look at it in the AR side, it was out of scale because of the session scale. So
if you can, and I think this is what that session scale is for, is that the very best thing to do is do unit scale in your 3D development software and unit scale in Unity. If everything's 1-to-1, then modifying the scale on the output is really preferable. That's the way to go, because all of the physics are gonna react 1-to-1. All of the shaders are gonna react 1-to-1, and then you're just scaling the entire display size, basically 3D display size down.
Yeah, but it is. So, I mean, I can't ever remember working on an AR project or VR really where scale wasn't some sort of discussion. Like it's always something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we definitely have learned. I've learned a bunch of stuff this week that I'm excited to share. That we'll get together. Let's see. Noah asked if we will be at GDC or South by. I don't have plans to be at either this year. I usually, my little secret is
I'm going to be wearing a hazmat suit.
Well, there's that. But then usually my little secret is I go to San Francisco for GDC, but I don't actually buy a GDC pass. I just hang out around Moscone and hang out and meet with people.
But that's because you're cool and people want to meet with you.
No, get out of here.
I mean, like there's other people who like want to, like they have to walk around and, and see the exhibits and stuff like that because they're not busy with fancy people.
Oh, get out of here. And then I've never been to South by.
I haven't either.
Yeah. I mean, next year, obviously, XR Talk will have a main stage presence at both. They'll probably ask us to keynote.
Yeah, I'm thinking. Yeah.
They're going
to ask us again how we built that website.
And I'll go on a 20-minute rant about Babylon and TypeScript. Yeah. Maybe we'll spin off the Code Nerd Talk show someday.
So we had another thing to talk about, though, too, right? Oh, we were talking about scale. Let me see. We started making show notes about 5 minutes before 4 o'clock.
Well, I did have one. So I got my Magic Leap back.
Uh-huh.
I got my charger. And I got it charged, and obviously I used it to debug the xrtalk.net website. That's a little plug for you. And you know what? That's still that's a good device. I think it's.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna say it. I think it's the best AR wearable you can get right now. Still.
That you can get.
Yeah. Well, and not a lot of people can get it. It's still. I mean, the price is outrageous, but
right. Yeah. So then, what about the one that they're suing? What about
Nreal?
Nreal? Can you get that yet?
I think they're shipping developer units maybe. Yeah, I mean they've been aggressive on partnerships, but you know what, I like because I got busy with Torch stuff, and then the device died, and I just haven't had a chance to really get back into it. And then once I got it charged up last week, I dug back into it. It's kind of my baby in a way, right? It's our baby.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to see what was going on, and I maybe it was because I'm down here in this dark basement, and like it's a perfect space for a Magic Leap because it's really easy to map, and it's pretty dark, and I don't know. I got some of those feelings back that I got in 2014 when I first saw the demo, the big bench demo, and I started thinking about all the stuff you could do with it, and like how cool it was. We were like in on this little secret, and we were having these huge heady conversations at the office, and we were playing with this stuff. And like, because I've been because we've been out of that world for a while. Not that it was Weed World. Let me be clear. That's just Spencer saying that. But no, I mean, it was like, here it is. Holy shit. Like I remember in 2014 thinking, man, if they could ever turn this into something I could stick on my head and walk around my house with, that's going to be crazy.
Holy shit, right?
And then I'm like, but here it is.
But what we saw is arguably not what you have on your head. And we can't go too deep into that, but
I don't think it's that different.
Really?
Mm-mm.
Really? Like the whole Wendell demo that we did that where it came up to you?
Yeah,
like,
no.
That level of depth was.
I think you should come to my house and I'm not saying it's perfect, but it's the best that you can get right now, is what I'm saying.
I'll be right there.
It'd be really cool if you walked in the frame just right now. But yeah, I mean, but it just, I think because I took a little bit of a break from it, and then I'm like, you know what? Damn, they did it. Like it is a thing you can buy, and it is a thing you can wear. And it does a lot of stuff still that most people aren't taking advantage of. So I think that's something I want to dig into a little bit more. But
yeah,
it was nice. It's good. It's a good thing.
Well, I'm glad that it's I need to come over and take a look at it, because I don't know. I've just been, I never got one like you did. So, because apparently I wasn't as cool as you. But I haven't actually played with one since I left.
Well, I never had access to the PEQs that look like this.
Right.
So
I want to come over and put it on my face.
Yeah, just borrow it. Unless I'm working on the website.
Right.
So this was kind of what does everybody think about this one? This was kind of random. We didn't have
we didn't really have a whole bunch of stuff to talk about, so we just kind of yammered.
We just chopped it up. We did. I tell you what happened. Because I was so consumed by projects, I haven't been on top of the news like I normally am. So
we promise that we're going to be way more prepared next time. Next time. Let's go ahead and call it. This is not the final episode.
We're going to do more episodes.
Yes, we are.
It's episode 5. We can stop the joke.
Yep.
It's no longer this is one of many, or 5 of many.
So here's the plan. Next time, I'm hoping to have and sorry, Nick, this is for you. Sorry, Paul. Okay.
I almost want us to do this in person again, just to prevent you from doing that.
Gonna have the 360 camera, and then I'm gonna use one of these 2 iPads to both simulcast in 360 on Facebook, and then I'll also be simulcasting from a scanned version of this room with the Hoxel volumetric live video as well. That's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping to
Oh, you were gonna bitch about your 360 camera. That was one of the things you were gonna do.
That's it. Okay, so here's.
It's okay. I mean, you can bitch if you want. Oh,
There's my
more.
palm again. Sorry.
It's just like
All
a
right.
big slab of meat. Oh, your camera disappeared. I think he just hung up on
God.
himself.
Oh God. Hold on. Wait.
You're lucky your name starts with an S because there's a big glowing S where your head used to be. It's super Spencer. So, hey, chat. We got 5 more minutes. While Spencer figures out his camera. Guarantee he'll figure it out right when it's time to sign off. Noah's asking about the big bench top. There was no whale or elephant demo in the big bench top. I think that is
all the demos were.
I think that is safe. They predated that.
Yes.
Predated the demos. I held the elephant in my hands. So they have
on the
MO1 they have a little elephant experience, and it's a full size realistic looking elephant in the room, and you can change its colors and stuff. But if you cup your hands in front of the device, a little mini version will show up in your palm. It's not the cute little elephant that's like laying on its back, but it is floating in your hands, and it's cute. So.
Man, missed opportunity. They totally should have just completely recreated that.
I know. I mean, we did do that. I mean, we used the. Didn't you work on that? Yeah.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I don't know what we can talk about and what we can't. I mean, there's all so many freaking cool things that we worked on today.
Eric, you're getting on the screen for this one. Don't forget to subscribe and comment below. We got to point to all the bottom because we don't just point. Yeah. There's a subscribe button.
Don't forget.
Somewhere in here that you should hit if you like what you see. And if maybe Spencer can put his big ham hand in the camera once more.
There we go. So I just real quick want to do a shout at to Insta360 1X. Shout out and shout at. The shout out is what a freaking great camera. It does really fast, clear 4K equirectangular 360 video. It does great images. It does HDR. It has a really good sense of lighting between the two lenses, so that you don't get these weird, this side's bright and this side's dark. It's the software and the hardware combo is great. Here's the shout at is that their little fucking batteries.
Ooh, Spencer just made it R-rated.
Are so freaking irritating. This thing runs out of juice if you look at it. So is this the newest one? Is this their latest and greatest one? This is the 1X. So it's actually a really great little camera. But it runs out of batteries. Here we go. Here's a little battery. And so it runs out of batteries instantly. And if you keep the battery in the camera, which is kind of what you generally do with a camera, you keep the battery in it. If you keep the battery in the camera, it will run out in like a day. So the problem, even if you don't use it, this thing, no, it's off. Just off in the bag. And so same exact problem that I'm having is that sorry, that's not my palm. Yes, little tiny battery, runs out really quickly. And so the problem is that I've got this great 360 camera and I want to use it to simulcast to Facebook today while I'm talking to Paul. So I set it up. I'm like, yeah, right on. Oh, battery's out. This one's out too. So I don't get to use it. So the camera you use is the camera you have. The best camera is the camera that you have on you. And I don't have this camera on me very often. And you can't use it plugged in? You can use. No, but you can't. You can't use it plugged into an iOS device to stream from, which is the only way to stream from this is from an iOS device or an Android device. But you can't stream from a computer, which will charge it. An iOS device will not charge it. And so
Quote
it's like,
quote our engineer Josh Faust. Everything is awful.
everything. No, it's not. It's amazing. You have 360 cameras like that with 4K 360 cameras that cost us $300. That's insane. That's
By the way, Josh
crazy
wasn't
talk.
here. He put so much pressure on us last show. He was like,
I know.
because we were so paranoid that he was gonna beat us up for our technical comments, and he was like, I could leave if I need, and he didn't show up this week.
Right. So maybe he was upset that we talked about him.
Maybe. I don't think he's that sensitive.
This right here. Just want to say this right here. This is a 4K underwater video camera. This thing is, I mean, it's the same weight as maybe 3 or 4 silver dollars. 10 years ago, this would have been a $4,000 piece of gear this big. You know, it would have been this monstrous piece, and now it's this little thing I can put in my pocket.
What do you?
Everything is awesome.
What do you use for photogrammetry? Like, do you use the GoPro for photogrammetry stuff at all?
Never. No. I don't use the GoPro for photogrammetry ever. I use my trusty Nikon. So DSLR for ground-based stuff. So, and then I'll use the drone to fill in above it. But yeah, I'll use the
what's on the
full frame.
What's on the drone? It's built in.
It's a built-in little candy cam. My buddy Oz and actually Michael, whose photogrammetry I was going over earlier, they both have the new DJI Mavic Pro 2, which has a super swanky camera and is way better at capturing.
I don't have any cool stuff in my room like you do. Just
what the
computers?
Hell what is going on that screen down below?
Well, here, our dear friend Cammy. Let me see if I can switch
Cammy,
over.
thank you so much for that, and we need to let's do that.
There we go. Yeah.
Thank you, Cammy. Cammy cares. She really does.
This is a good reminder to follow us on Twitter. I haven't been tweeting too much. We'll try. Well, actually, so yes, click on the little bell to subscribe or whatever's down at the bottom of the screen. We're gonna fix up stuff. Sean, thank you so much for coming. We're signing off too. We're gonna stick to the weekly schedule. If you've got ideas, questions, ideas for things we could do, people we could talk to, tweet at us. Anything you want to see. Let's see, what have we got coming up? I'm going to try to line up some guests, not named Nick Lambert. And then we're going to do some project walkthroughs. So we'll walk through our Unity project. I'm still on the fence about walking through the web project because it's just kind of yuck code stuff.
It's interesting to, probably 70% of our audience, because like most people are programmers, but the other 30% are just crying because it's so boring.
Yeah, I don't want to bore people to tears, literally. So yeah, thanks so much. Watch.xrtalk.net is how you get to the YouTube channel. So that's how you can tell people to check us out. I am going to fix up our descriptions and links. I promise. Chat.xrtalk.net is how you get to the Discord. I think Spencer and I are both on there every day. And we've got some really cool, actually, just real quick, there's just some really cool people in here that are sharing a lot of interesting stuff. We've got the person that works on the Nike sneakers app and does all the AR experiences for Nike sneaker drops. And we've got Cammy in there. We've got Jessica Outlaw. We've got Eric. We've got David. All these people that have helped me debug this week. Todd Little from Fair World, who's super nice. We are definitely not the only experts in the Discord chat. There's some heavy hitters in there, and I'm excited about that because we really just want to have a great conversation and help each other figure this stuff out.
I'm not smart, and I would like to become smarter.
I think you're smart, Spencer.
Thanks, Paul.
I think
you're smart too.
Everyone in our audience is smart for listening to us and participating. And we'll see
right.
everyone next week. This is not our final episode.
That's right. And remember to hit subscribe and do the thing.
Bye, everybody.